David, one of the things that I always get asked by parents is when an offer is made or when there is a visit and there is an offer, how should parents and athletes react to that offer? Is that something that's on the table for a specific time period? What do you generally recommend when you're recruiting your athletes as far as, okay, here's our offer? Is it take as much time as you need? Or should parents really, in this new landscape, when an offer is placed, know in advance prior to their visit if that school is for them?
Yeah, I think hopefully going into the situation, I know for us when we're getting kids to campus, it's kind of a little bit further down the recruiting process line. And um, if, especially at this point in time, if you're getting an offer out of high school, it's you should take it serious, regardless of where the school is or the opportunity. Maybe you're not as interested, but if someone's interested in you in this landscape, you better be taking that serious because it's tough to get spots right now, and it's something that everyone's dealing with. But uh, I guess repeat the question again for me, just because I kind of lost my
Just as
train of
far
thought
as
there.
parents now in today's landscape, it's a lot different. We have
Yes.
athletes that are
For the yes, there you go.
decommitting, so when you go to a college campus and a student athlete is sitting with yourself, or any member of the coaching staff and an offer is extended, is that something that parents should be prepared to react to right away, or should they kind of be able to be given a certain period of time to
Yeah.
consider it?
We still, I know for us, I talk about with all our recruits, whether it ends up being with us or someone else, is this is the biggest decision of your life to this point. I mean, it's like I said, the college experience is maybe a little bit lost now, but when I was growing up and coming through it myself, I know it was, hey, this you're going to be at this place for 4 years. This is where your home is going to be. You got to make sure you're feel comfortable in the space and you're going to enjoy yourself, and it's somewhere you can grow and get better in. So I always have talking to that, basically talking about that with all of our recruits. For us, we it's not something where we deadline guys. I know some schools will put a deadline on them and say, "Hey, you need to let us know by this time." We're honest with them. We know it's stressful in the recruiting process. We know it's a big decision, like I said, and we want to make sure we treat them fairly. And I know for myself, if someone was trying to push me to make a decision quickly, that's not the way I would feel comfortable about making a good decision. Um, but for us, we tell them straight up. We say, "Hey, this is an offer. Obviously, we're very interested in you. This is the offer we've got on the table for you. Um, we have to keep recruiting your position until you give us a yes. And until you do, just being completely open and honest, we're going to continue to recruit your position. And there's nothing against that. We'll let you know if we put other offers out or if anything's going to change. But that's just the nature of the business. And we don't want to pressure you into decisions or whatnot. But we have to assume you're going to say no. I think like most college coaches would, and you keep having the next available guy. It's like a draft board sort of thing, and you go about it that way. But that's how we approach it, and we've had success that way. I think the relationship building process is huge for us. Coach Dorado has told me for years. He's our head coach here. We got to make sure that we're enjoying the company of these kids. These are kids that we want to be around. They want to be around us because as you know, you're spending the first 2 years on the phone with them before they even get to college. You're creating a relationship with them. You got to make sure that that's enjoyable. And then like the 4 years you're going to spend with them post, you don't want to have kids that you just don't get along with or you don't like. So the person and the quality of person is first and foremost. And it's a good reminder all the time. And I think that goes kind of with what you're saying is find a place where it's like, all right, I like this coach. He likes me. Like we mesh, we get along. It's easy. He's easy to talk to. I can tell he's going to have full invested interest in me and getting me better from whatever capacity that is, and go about it that way. And I'll say that to all of our recruits. It's like whether it's us or someone else, just make sure you're going to a situation that's going to benefit you, especially now.
Now, are you still the Coach Dorado and the rest of the staff? Are you still highly engaged with the high school athlete? Is the portal something that's just become the new reality? It's kind of like free agency. You don't know who's going to enter any particular June, and it could be people falling out of the sky. Or do you still maintain a healthy recruiting perspective with regard to the high school athlete?
No, I think we definitely still have a good. We're getting a lot of high school kids still, and I think there's a lot of really good high school players that are getting looked over right now, and yeah, it's a good opportunity for for them, for us as well. We play freshmen all the time. We play high school freshmen, and we've had a lot of success doing that. But the portal stuff is kind of, it's year to year, and obviously every school is going to lose a few kids every year. Every school is going to get a few kids every year. You have to have some sort of roster component where you're creating some culture stuff, and then you got to be what's kind of the freshmen coming up through and having these guys that feed your systems. And then obviously with the transfer portal, it's the same concept as the high school recruits. Is you got to be getting good kids. You got to be getting good kids that come in and fit your program. And there's good players out there. There's enough good players in the transfer portal, but I still think a good, strong program grows from the high school recruit, and then as needed you fill based on kind of, okay, we've kind of figured out what our team needs for this year and go after this past season, and let's go and try and find maybe a plug and play or some guys that can fill some spots from the transfer portal standpoint that deserve it too. Some
Right.
kids that we've had some kids from the Division III level come up and have a ton of success from us from the Division II level. We've had kickbacks from bigger Power 5 schools that have come back and done awesome. That's the benefit of it, is you get the opportunity to get some other kids an opportunity that deserve to be playing at our level. But I don't think you can construct the team exclusively just through the transfer portal, at least at our level right now.
I think a lot of parents, because of your experience as a college student athlete at UConn, you also have the ability to talk about a professional environment as far as pitching is concerned. What piece of advice would you give to the younger pitchers? And when I say younger, I'm not necessarily talking about the high school junior or senior. I'm really talking about that middle school to underclass in high school. As far as what piece of advice from a development standpoint would you say is critical or key over and above the weight room? Talking about whether it's glove side location, whether it's a competitive catch, anything like that can kind of give a student athlete quote unquote a slight edge with regard to development.
Yeah, for me, it all starts in catch play. I mean, I'll just break it down percentages. I was the son of an engineer, so I learned very kind of structured at points in my life. But
Great.
I asked to, and that helps us in our sport. It's definitely helped me. But you make probably 80 to 90% of every throw in your life on the line, right? In catch play. Are you taking advantage of those throws or are you not, right? Are you taking those throws and bringing them to the bullpen where we'll keep it easy. We'll say it's 80% of the throws you ever make are on the foul line, playing catch with a partner, and then 10% in the bullpen and 10% in the game. Obviously, that catch play component is a lot of kids in high school don't get 35 minutes to play a good game of catch, right? They might have 15 minutes and they just got off the bus and they have 5 minutes. So I think understanding how to play good catch regardless of how much time you have, right? Like those focused reps. So that's where it starts for me. And then obviously you want to blend that into your bullpen. And then once you're into the game mode, you're not thinking about anything. Those last 10% throws, you're just competing. And I think for the middle school kids, learning how to just compete too is super important. I have really two simple rules from a recruiting standpoint, and you can kind of apply them starting at that level. But it's one, do you dive? Like, will you just lay out for a ball? Are you getting dirty? Are you, because that just shows effort to me, shows me that you want to be there, that you're backing up your teammates and you're going that way. And two is, do you know how to win? Because I really do think that's a skill. And that kind of goes back to the shutting down part a little bit. Is you might not learn that ability through playing baseball, right? You might have a high school basketball coach that really taught you what it takes to self-sacrifice and do different things to help the team win. And I think if the more you're involved in programs that can win and have that winning culture, that parlays and kind of catapults you forward as you keep going, because you can apply that to baseball if you're learned it through basketball or football or whatever. Maybe you learned it in baseball and you can be like, hey guys, like we need to do a better job of this in another sport, and you can kind of lead through that. So I talk about that a lot with guys, is learning how to win, learning how to go about the things you need to do to have success as a team. And I think that's really important.
The final question that I have, and it's specific to you at URI, Coach Serrato, yourself. Student athlete reaches out to you. What are the critical components, whether it be via an email, a direct message on social media? What needs to be included in that initial contact to capture a coach's attention for a high school student athlete with interest in URI?
It's a good question. We get a lot of emails, and a lot of them have different strategies, so it's interesting. I love it when it comes from the kid, if I'm being honest. It's pretty
Absolutely.
easy. It's pretty easy to tell when the parents write in the email. And just from a recruiting standpoint, I know maybe it's been lost on this generation a little bit, but sophomores in high school should be able to have a conversation for themselves, and juniors in high school should be able to have a conversation for themselves and start thinking about their own lives a little bit more proactively. Mom and dad have done a lot for you to this point, and there's got to be some level of transition where you have to start taking ownership in your own career and kind of stepping up for yourself. So first and foremost, I'm always looking at, was this a kid that wrote this? I don't mind some typos because I can tell it's like, oh, this kid had some, for lack of a better term, some guts to him and reached out. And yeah, it wasn't maybe the most professional email, but I'd rather have that and be able to teach and help a kid grow through his adulthood process and becoming a good athlete. But I want to get the genuine kid that I'm talking to, not the parent or anything like that. So that's pretty much first and foremost. Obviously, you can put in all your metrics and stuff like that, but the biggest thing for us is kids that come to campus too. I know that's not exactly the question, but if you're showing interest, coming to a camp, um, taking time out of your day, spending your own hard earned money. Sometimes it's kids paying for themselves. Sometimes it's obviously the parents. But coming up to campus and actively showing interest in us, that means the world to Coach Dorado and our staff, because it's like, okay, you sacrificed to come up here. Like, you didn't just do this because it was 10 minutes away. It's like you chose to come here and do that. And um, that's something that we value a lot, is taking the time out to come and check out the campus and do that stuff. So make sure you're contacting coaches on your own as players. That's what I would say. And
Yeah, I mean, that's critical.
mhm.
And parents, that's a very effective message that you just heard. I know we want to kind of monitor and we want to make sure things are done correctly. But at the end of the day, this is the student athlete's experience, it's their college future. And I think it's important, especially when, David explains that hearing directly from the athlete shows, they're involved and engaged in their process. And that's a critical part of recruiting. David, I want to say thank you. I want to let parents know, school like URI, it's under the radar from a
Mhm.
national standpoint, but in New England, highly respected. They're playing programs such, they're in the A10, but they're playing the Boston College, the UConns, the UMass. But you look around, they're playing Texas A&M, they're playing Washington State. So Division I baseball, and I know when you guys were, when Tyler, Liam O'Sullivan, that
Mhm.
era of URI, they played
Nebraska always.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so the biggest thing to understand, the landscape is changing. It's time to bring in awareness to more universities that have tremendous traditional baseball programs with great coaching staffs that have been involved in the game at very, very high levels, that can work and help your student athlete have a balanced collective college experience. And really, that's the critical part. David, thank you so
Yep.
much. I'm going to have all of your information, all of URI baseball, again, available in the Baseball Blue Book app. Create your profile, it's free, and then you get able to interact with coaches from URI, but also questions for coach, put them down below. I'm going to make sure I share his email address with you at URI, as well as his social media, so you can direct message David if you are so inclined. But David, thank you so
Feel
much. I
free.
greatly appreciate you taking the time today to join me.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Yep.
You're welcome. Thank you, Captain. That